You're listening to the NYY Sports Talk podcast, hosted by Christian and Chris. Head to NYYSportsTalk.com to subscribe to the show and check out the fan shop so you can swag up on great NYYST apparel. Stay on top of all the latest with the New York Yankees, including breaking news, in-game updates, and incredible fan giveaways by following on Twitter at NYY Sports Talk. It's now time to talk Yankees baseball.
Welcome back. This is episode 83 of the NYY Sports Talk podcast. I'm your host, Christian, as always, joined by my co-host, George. He seamlessly went right into that.
I didn't see it coming.
Huh?
I didn't see it coming.
No, how could you? George never sees it coming.
Right.
And since there's no NFL football on today, Stat Guy Rye.
I don't even like football that much. Can we stop?
Stat Guy Rye. I mean, I get told all the time to look at the stats. Last year, you were MIA during football season.
You actually had a -10 WAR during the NFL season.
-10.
That's not a guy, so I wouldn't have won any of the big awards.
Even Shane Robinson had a positive.
Oh, come on! Don't say Shane Robinson had a better year than I did.
Let's see what Shane Robinson's WAR is.
You remember that one play?
While you do that, I had a really good idea for the listeners, for the iTunes listeners.
What's that, Chris?
All right, I'm going to personally give away a new product coming out on the NYYST fan shop, which you can get to at shop.nysportstalk.com. That's coming out before 2019. I was thinking, we were talking about Didi's tweeting skills last week, right? I want to know, the Yankees win the World Series in 2019, what the go-to tweet is going to be. What do you assume the predictable tweet would be? Who's going to get the big hit that Didi's going to put the emoji in? I want you to give us 5 stars on iTunes, and I want you to leave a review with what you expect that tweet to be if the New York Yankees win the World Series, and the one we like the most will win that new product.
I mean, you don't even tell the people what the product is?
It's something that we can't really give out.
What if the product is like
it's a nice t-shirt.
Like a rubber hose or something?
It's a nice t-shirt. Okay?
It's Yankee related.
It is a Yankee t-shirt that you're going to want.
What's the material?
It's 100% cotton.
Is it cotton poly blend?
Cotton poly blend, maybe.
We'll get the info on the material.
Is it athletic cut or more
I will
like
reach out to Gildan personally and have them put together a detailed description of the material of the shirt.
Well, it's a good idea. I like the idea.
Okay.
BT Dubs, Shane Robinson's WAR for 2018 was -0.1.
Oh,
still better.
Not that bad.
God, so I had a really bad.
You were really bad. You cost this team 10 games last year by
Wow.
not being here.
Well, it shows how important I am then.
Wow, it does. It's great. Way to blow his head up.
Yeah, thanks, man. You're so good to me.
Actually, WAR doesn't work that way.
That's BS. Who's my replacement?
Your replacement is Dan Federico. No, actually, we're gonna get Dan on the phone in a few minutes here. Dan's gonna join us to do Keep 'em Dump 'em's Part 3B. The Outfielders this week. We're gonna maybe I'll privately ask Dan off air if he wants to come on and replace you, because Dan.
Wow. Jeez,
that's messed up, man.
Do it. You know what?
That was from the heart.
Do it.
You want me to do it?
Yeah, I'm gonna go watch some football.
I think like Central Michigan is playing like Buffalo A&M right now.
Yeah. I'll put that on. See you guys.
But before we get into the Keep 'em Dump 'em's, last night, we're recording on Wednesday. You'll be hearing this Thursday morning. Last night, Shohei Ohtani took the American League Rookie of the Year award. Normally not something that we'd bring up on here, but he did beat out Miguel Andujar, which is complete and utter garbage in my opinion. But I'm also not some nerd writer, so I mean.
I said this before we came
and we have writers on here like our pal Joe Rivera, and you know I don't want to offend everybody and say they're all nerds, but the people that voted on the AL Rookie of the Year, the 25 of them that voted for Ohtani, they're nerds.
When it comes to the voting, the writers become kind of like a douchey clique. They're like, what kind of WAR did he have? And you don't understand the defensive metric of blah blah blah. Just shut the fuck up and vote on who was the best rookie in 2018. I'm not going to sit here and take away anything from Shohei Ohtani. I think what he accomplished was absolutely phenomenal.
Ohtani's WAR was 3.9, while Andujar's was 2.2.
Right.
I mean, is that what we base the award off of?
Yeah, honestly, from what the writers are saying, yeah. And it's just complete and utter garbage to me. I think that the writers look at Rookie of the Year too much as MVP, where they're looking at the complete value that the rookie brought to his team, as opposed to who was just the best rookie overall.
All right, I'm going to disprove your whole point there, because MVP, most value to the team, the Angels would have been garbage without Shohei Ohtani. I don't know if the Yankees go to the postseason without Miguel Andujar.
That's what I'm saying. No, but what I'm saying is, in a sense of, they took his pitching stats and took that value into it, and they said, look at the value he brings to this team. Not only did he hit blah 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 home runs, but he also pitched 10 games with a 3 whatever ERA.
He pitched 50 innings. Meaningless innings, if you ask me, because he got lit up by Boston, he got lit up by Houston, and he didn't have the stones to pitch at Yankee Stadium.
And he showed that he can't sustain it for an entire season.
Or at least just this season, he didn't play a full year. I don't know if is it Yankee bias? Is it because we're Yankee fans?
No,
because I don't think it is.
I think if the writers laid out exactly what they're looking at, we would sit there and say, I think this is garbage, but I understand if you guys are going based off this criteria, that Shohei Ohtani was your pick. I don't think it's friggin' biased towards the New York Yankees. I think that's just what we want to believe. Maybe there's a little bit of it from some of the writers, but for 25 out of 30 first place votes going to Shohei Ohtani, there's got to be something that we're missing.
Here's my problem, though. This is what I can't get over. 2001, Ichiro wins the American League Rookie of the Year. No one cares that he was the greatest Japanese baseball player of all time, probably, right? I don't know. Maybe he was up there. But he comes over here. He's a rookie. He wins. 2003, Matsui comes over here. Oh, wait. We can't give him the Rookie of the Year. He played professional baseball in Japan, so he doesn't count. Now here we are, 2018. Shohei Ohtani comes. Yeah, no, I don't care what he did in Japan. He's a rookie here. So why did that change? Why did those three instances, why were they different circumstances when Matsui was involved versus, two guys that weren't Yankees?
Wasn't there another Yankee, too, that the writer said, or it was just someone in general?
It was Gary Sanchez. They said he didn't play in enough games in 2016. That's why he didn't win.
But I thought he just didn't qualify
he
as
qualified.
a rookie.
He was a rookie in 2016. He had enough at-bats to
Then
qualify.
You know what? Maybe I'm wrong with saying there's no Yankee bias, because that's bullshit. I did this. You can't sit here. Yeah, what Ohtani did within those 300-something at-bats was phenomenal. And if he kept up that pace, not only would he have won Rookie of the Year, but he would have been considered an MVP caliber type player. But he didn't. He got hurt. And guess what? The big value that he brought to being a pitcher also in 2018, he's not going to be able to do in 2019 because he's hurt. So don't sit here and tell me his projected numbers had this and that or whatnot. I just think Miguel Andujar deserved it. I don't think I think us and the fans and everyone makes 100 times more of a big deal of it than Andujar or any of the players do. But I just think it's bullshit.
This is our hill to die on, though, as fans. Miggy's our guy. He got snubbed in a lot of our eyes by a guy that wasn't really. I'm not taking anything away from what Ohtani did, but there's a lot of circumstances that I don't like about him. And Andujar was here in New York on a playoff team. Was the best hitter from the day he came up here until the end of the season on a team that hit the most home runs in Major League history. It won 100 games. and Ohtani's team would have been the same shitty team that they were without him.
And you know what it is too? You touched on this before. We watch every game. We know how many big base hits Miguel Andujar had, especially during the time Stanton picked it up with everyone hurt. Andujar was hot.
If you had to pick one offensive player, on this team off the top of your head that you felt had the most clutch season,
Miguel Andujar.
it would be Andujar.
100%.
If you had to vote right now on the Yankees MVP for 2018, it would be Miguel Andujar.
Yes.
Offensively, yes. And yeah, probably overall. Sure.
Yeah.
If not him, maybe Dellin Betances, but that's besides the point. It just you said 50 innings pitched.
Yeah,
as a
50
starter.
in the third, or whatever
As a
it was.
starter, he only had 50 innings. Plus, he was hurt. He came back, and he wasn't even a pitcher when he came back.
He only came back
became a
to
DH.
win. He only came back to win the Rookie of the Year award.
Why didn't J.D. Martinez get true consideration for MVP?
That's a joke in and of itself.
Because he was a DH. That probably played a part of
And
it,
I want
right?
to clear this up too, because two of my tweets with Ohtani got around pretty quickly. I didn't have enough characters.
They got around pretty quickly, like your mom. Sorry, Ryan.
I didn't have enough.
Also, my mom.
I didn't have enough characters in the tweet to also say I'm not sitting here saying Ohtani wasn't great.
He's soft though.
He is. He's a little baby back.
Seems
bitch.
that way. But yeah, he had a great year. Don't get me
I'm
wrong.
not trying to take away from Ohtani as much as I'm trying to push the fact that Andujar is the clear-cut winner, in my opinion.
It's rookie of the year, not rookie for,
A third of the year.
4 months.
Right.
Come on,
And listen,
man.
if it was a level playing field where Andujar had, the same type of circumstance, not as many at-bats, and the numbers were the same and Ohtani was projected better, fine. But the fact that Andujar did this all year compared to who won, who didn't do it all year, that's what pisses me off the most.
Do you think this award was more Ohtani was the better player, or do you think the reason for it was because Miguel Andujar's defense was so bad this year?
No, they had a hard-on for the fact that he pitched.
So
That's
you're
what it
saying
was.
that if Andujar played even just a little bit better defensively, there's still that
Andujar could have
25
been
to 5
Brooks
disparity.
Robinson at third base, and they still would have given the award.
It really sucks.
Here's one thing I want to ask. I put it up to my Twitter followers last night. They voted about 60. I'm not going to look it up right now. About 67% yes that they thought that it would still played out this way. But are you confident that if Ohtani was a rookie last year, had the same exact season he had in 2017 up against Judge's season, would Judge still be the Rookie of the Year?
I thought about that too. I didn't see your poll. And in my head, I was like, nope, he would have won it.
About 65-ish% people still voted that Judge would still be the Rookie of the Year, but I mean, I don't know.
I honestly, I think they would have been like, Judge strikes out way too much, and it brought down his, blah, blah, blah.
Well, why didn't he win the MVP last year? Because he struck out 200 times.
I don't know. That's a great question. Because Andujar at 297, he had I don't know, man. That really surprised me. Everyone was saying it was going to happen.
Look, this is my point of who was the best rookie. Do you know how many categories he led rookies in?
Yeah, doubles, RBI, home runs.
I mean, come on.
47
Against the
doubles,
AL
dude?
East.
And here's another thing. If they're giving Ohtani the Rookie of the Year based on the fact that he's a two-way player, what if in 2020 when he can pitch again, he pitches to a 4.5 ERA, and he hits 250? Is he the MVP now over a full season because he does
Probably.
both? He's an average hitter and an average pitcher, but
I
he
would
does
love to
both?
know. I would actually love to know if he had the same 50 innings but had a 6 ERA and then put up also the same offensive numbers. If the narrative would have been, but his offense was so good, you can't even look at the pitching at this point. That's probably what it would have been also. They had this guy in their minds from the beginning of the year. All he had to do was have a good season. And the fact that he had an above average, better than good season to them, that was it. That was their lock. That's their story. They ran with it all year. They love the fact that he does both, and they were going to award him for it.
I said it from the first time that John Heyman blew kisses to Ohtani on Twitter. It was probably July, August, or whatever. It said, hey, I told everybody in Yankees Twitter, don't get upset when Ohtani wins Rookie of the Year because the writers are in love with him. And what happened? He won overwhelmingly, and people were still upset. Hey, you know what? Sometimes you can't fight the media, and especially when the media is the only avenue to an end here. Like they're the only ones voting. Of what did you think was going to happen? They loved him. He won.
I agree.
I don't know. I'm over it. I mean, I think Miguel Andujar should have won, but I mean, at the end of the day, how many more times are you going to argue it? I mean, we have to bring it up on the show, get it out, but now it's time to maybe kick out a few outfielders.
Yeah, let's kick a few out.
All right, let's bring up the 1-800-COLLECT hotline here.
Let's phone a friend.
Phone a friend.
Dan Federico.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
So I guess we're counting this as round 3B, not round 4. 3B. All right, so we're bringing in Dan Federico of the Bronx to Bushville to break down the keep 'em dump 'ems with the Outfielders. Dan, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. How you guys doing? I'm glad to be back again.
Glad to have you.
We've been playing tweet tag for a while now. Every time I try to get you on here, I can't lock you down.
I know, man. Real life gets in the way sometimes, but like I said, we were DMing last time. I wanted to get on as soon as I could next, so glad I could get on today.
Well, while we got you here, we have to ask you this because you had a tweet that kind of went viral last week, kind of blew up Yankee Twitter, where you said that the Yankees have expressed interest in Harper as a first baseman. They've reached out to the Nationals execs about his willingness to move to position to first base. Obviously we don't want you to reveal your sources, but just kind of speak on that a little bit. How far down the road did that go? Is that really like a serious thing right now?
So, it's one of those things where you guys know how Twitter works, and a lot of things got misconstrued, even though I feel like I was as clear as possible. But, a lot of people were like, oh, they're definitely signing Harper. All these different things were spawning off this interest tweet. Now, I tweeted, I followed up saying, I'm not going to put something out there that I don't consider reliable from somebody who I trust. So, I was told directly that the Yankees did have some interest in Harper as a first baseman. I was told that they're kind of starting to lose that hope and bird that they've had for so long, which is understandable based off last year. They kind of see Luke Voigt as possibly being a one-hit wonder kind of thing, which I personally don't agree with. I think he can be that type of player, maybe not up to that level, but a good enough player to play every day at first base. But yeah, I mean, I think, it was definitely a real thing. I don't know how far along they've gone since then. I haven't been able to follow up with it as I tried, but there wasn't any additional info. But it was mostly a feeling out process, kind of guess the player he is, see if he'd be interested in switching positions, because obviously he's in the outfield. First base will be new to him. So yeah, it was kind of just one of those things that it happens during free agency. I mean, a lot of people were questioning why would the Yankees reach out to Nationals people to see what Bryce Harper would do when he's technically, still a possibility to join their team. I mean, we all kind of understand that Bryce Harper's not going back to the Nationals. The offer they sent to him kind of seemed like just, show the fans that they tried, but, it wasn't a serious offer, I don't think, especially what, he's probably going to get on the free agent market. So, I mean, it's a common practice to kind of reach out, see, to get the type of character he is, kind of get some information. So, but as of what I tweeted, that's kind of the last I've heard on Harper. I know a lot of people are saying that, they're definitely out of it. I don't believe they're out of it completely. I do think there's still a chance, but I mean, when there's smoke, there's fire. I feel like, it may not be a fit on their end, but it was definitely a real situation. And they definitely had some interest earlier this offseason.
Well, even if it's not a fit at first base, don't you have to, as the Yankees, investigate him as your left fielder for next year? Do you really want Brett Gardner as your starting left fielder? And especially, like, if you look at their everyday lineup, it's right-handed heavy. So at Yankee Stadium, to not have any left-handed power is kind of silly, especially with Didi's going to miss probably at least half the year. So wouldn't that be an idea for them to at least look at Harper to play the outfield?
that's my biggest thing with this whole situation, and kind of ties into Manny Machado. I feel like if you're going to pay one of these guys, I have no idea why they're choosing Machado over Harper. I understand they're not confident in Andujar at third base. Didi's going to be out for a while regardless, so they do need help there. But I feel like there are a lot of options that could fill those roles, both internally and externally. And I think, like you said as well, the left-handed bat is so important. For all the years, like from 2010 on, they had so many left-handed hitters, utilizing the short porch and right field. I think he'd be perfect. I know some people are saying it would cause a logjam. I mean, Shane Robinson played how many games in August, meaningful games for a team that won 100 games, and he was an everyday player. Injuries happen, things happen. I really still believe Bryce Harper is probably the best free agent fit out of anybody on the market outside of Patrick Corbin. I think he's perfect for Yankee Stadium, perfect for the team, perfect to hit in between Judge and Stanton. I don't get why the interest seems lukewarm. I don't know if it's a personality thing, which again, he's had a couple of issues with teammates, but nothing, crazy, nothing out of the ordinary.
But it was Jonathan Papelbon. He got into a fight with nobody likes Jonathan Papelbon, right?
Exactly, that too. It's not like he was fighting with, the nicest guy in the clubhouse. So, I mean, it's interesting. I'm still kind of perplexed. And like I said before, I don't think they're out of it completely, contrary to reports. There hasn't been, many teams kind of linked to him. I think they're kind of playing the market out and seeing what could happen with him. So I still think there's a chance, but I really don't get why they're not all over him.
Dan, I just have a quick hit for you here. I just want to get your personal opinion. I was thinking about it the other day. If the Yankees offered him the same contract the Nationals did, do you think he gives a different answer?
I think there's a pretty good chance that he gives a different answer. I've heard from people, and this isn't, breaking news, anything that probably hasn't been out there before, but he grew up a diehard Yankee fan. He wore 34 for Mickey Mantle, 3+4 is 7, obviously. He's always dreamed of playing in Yankee Stadium as an everyday player. Loves Frank Sinatra. Everything kind of ties back to, him wanting to be in New York. That's why I think this market is interesting, because let's say, he doesn't have the robust market he thought he was going to have, and the Yankees kind of see that opportunity, like what they did with Stanton, like what they did with Mark Teixeira, where they were really not involved at all. And then once the price is kind of figured out, they jumped in at the last minute. So I keep saying this. I still think there's a chance. It's a gut feeling. I haven't heard anything outside of what I tweeted, but I still think there's a chance for him to be in pinstripes.
Christian's dying to say, don't think it's so obvious that 3+4 = 7 because I'm a moron. That's right. You were trying to jump in to say that. Thanks.
Yeah, but
see,
Dan,
I know you so well.
Dan had a good thought going, so I didn't want to ruin it. But yes, I'm glad that you did not assume that everybody here knows that 3+4 = 7. I don't know if you know the story or not, but Chris's wife, I tell it all the time, had to label household items and how they were spelled.
It was for my 6-year-old daughter.
No, she won the spelling bee. You didn't.
She's at a much higher reading level at this point than I am.
All right, Dan, so we brought you on here so we could add a different voice to our Keep 'em Dump 'ems. So we're going to get started here. As our guest, we're going to let you guess what the fans voted. We're going to start with Clint Frazier. How do you think the fans voted on Clint Frazier?
Oh, man, he's one of the perplexing prospects in the system. I think they voted keep him, though. I feel like he still has some fan favorites. You
want to throw a percent on it?
Oh, shoot. Let's see. 68%?
Close. The fans voted 64% to keep Clint Frazier.
Thought it'd be higher.
Yeah, that is a little low.
I voted to keep him, by the way.
It's because we're so, we're in the mindset for whatever reason now, no matter what, when we think about trading for a pitcher, it's always like Clint Frazier. So that's why there's not more fans, I don't think, voting to keep.
So, Dan, you said you're keeping Clint?
I would 100% keep Clint. I think, kind of going back to the Bryce Harper thing, and, if they're not interested in him and they plan on using Brett Gardner in left field, I think it's fully because they have confidence in Clint Frazier to, a month in, 2 months in, whenever he's back to full health, they feel like he could come in and be that guy in left field, which he has the pedigree. He was a 5th overall draft pick. He was a highly touted prospect. You saw what he did even last year in AAA. He was on fire when he wasn't even up in the majors. So I think he's somebody who their backup plan or their main plan, however you want to look at it, is, whatever happens with Gardner, Clint Frazier could eventually be that guy to replace him. That's, again, if they don't go out and get anybody to play left field. But I'm getting the sense that that's what it's going to end up being.
Well, we talked about this when they re-signed Gardner, that if the reports are true that they're not hot for Harper and they brought back Gardy, that maybe it's because they have plans for Clint Frazier to play left field this season.
Yeah, he's somebody who, we've seen him at the major league level, not at, a very big sample size, but, he hits, I'm trying to think of the word to describe. He's just an energetic player, somebody who brings something to the clubhouse. He brings an edge to the team, which you always kind of want. They'll still have that problem where they're very right-handed. He doesn't help in that regard. But I don't know. I think that I'm surprised that seems like they have this confidence in him, but I think they do. And like you said, the trade market, that'll, whatever happens there happens. But I think there's at least a good chance that he'll be playing in left field at some point this season.
All right, let's go around the table here. Stat Guy Rye, what do you say about Clint Frazier?
I mean, you got to keep trying with this guy. It stinks. He's had some tough injuries. Last year he had those concussions, but it is another right-handed bat. I don't know if you want to add that to this lineup again, but you got to keep him.
If Frazier plays over Gardner, the Yankees would have 8 right-hand. Let's say based on the conjecture today that Machado is coming here to play shortstop, the Yankees would have 8 right-handed bats in their lineup.
Yeah, well, I can't. That's my issue. I mean, he's not my first choice anymore, but I can't stress enough how much I love them signing Brett Gardner back. But at the same time, I'm not okay with him being the everyday left fielder next year. So if you're telling me you're not getting Harper and you're also telling me that Frazier is going to be healthy, or at least you're confident in it, he better be our starting left fielder. I better be keeping him at that point.
I'm keeping Clint Frazier. I mean, I was on with Munch last week, and I said that this kid should have been a rock star already. Like, he has all the makeups of being a superstar. He's got a unique look about him. Like Dan said, he's an energetic guy. He's got the nickname already, Red Thunder. So, I mean, and we've seen in 2017 when he got more of a chance to play, there's thunder in that bat.
Yeah, he's definitely got talent.
So I'm keeping him. So we're all in agreement that we're keeping.
I'm keeping.
We're going to keep Clint.
Keeping him.
Keep.
Let's just throw this in though. He's not getting in the way of me.
Oh, absolutely
getting
not.
A big pitcher to
Absolutely
throw in this
not.
rotation. I'm not saying. I'm not saying we're keeping him on all counts here. But for how it stands right now, I'm absolutely keeping.
No, it's like what we discussed with Andujar last week. Like, we're not getting rid of Andujar,
exactly.
But I'm not going to let Miguel Andujar get in the way of me getting, say, Corey Kluber. And it's even on a bigger level where I'm not going to let Clint Frazier get in the way of me getting, a top starting pitcher. All right, let's see what the fans had to say about Mr. Frazier here. Let's pick out a good one here. Captain Dirk says, dump him for a pitcher.
Yeah, well, that's not really the spirit of the dump, The spirit of the dump is like, this guy sucks, I'm sick of him.
Right.
We're dumping him.
Get rid of him.
Right.
Our pal Dominic Rucco has to say he just hopes that Clint's concussion issues are behind him so he can resume his career, whether it's with the Yankees or another team. He wishes him the best. And I keep saying that. I've said it numerous times in different mediums. Even if he's not a Yankee, you just want to see this guy on the field healthy. Like, concussions and head injuries are it's a scary situation. So you wish the best for Clint Frazier, even beyond being a Yankee. All right, let's move along here to a guy that we just referenced who could be fighting Clint Frazier for some playing time. Brett Gardner, who should be playing his final year as a Yankee in 2019. Chris, we'll start with you. How did the fans vote on Gardy?
So you just said these polls were obviously before.
They were like within days of the Yankees being eliminated.
This is a good one.
I'm going to say 52% dump.
You're a scumbag because I know you just looked it up.
I swear on anything. I don't even have my phone on me.
Oh, you said dump.
I said dump.
Oh, the fans I'm sorry. The fans voted 52% to keep Brett Gardner.
So you owe me a public apology.
I'm sorry that you're not a scumbag for that specific instance. So you got the pick. So we'll start with you, Chris. What do you say? What do you vote on Gardy? I mean, we pretty much.
I was so happy they kept him. I think it's a great move. I think as long as he's going to be used the right way, and by the right way, I mean as a guy off the bench, a guy who, a tough righties pitching that day, and you want to throw him in as a left-handed bat, a guy who, maybe now in his career could bat a little lower in the order and get on base and try and actually steal a couple bags and, not take the bat out of anyone's hands. That's too important. I love it. I think he's a phenomenal outfielder. I don't think he lost a step in the outfield. So all around, I was very happy with it. I would keep him personally, but he better be my fourth outfielder.
That guy, right? You're making a living off of impersonating the guy. So
yeah, I mean, it's hard, but
yeah, like what Chris said, keep Brett Gardner, but please don't be our starting left fielder. And have him on the bench. He's I think he'd be a great bench player, right? He works counts.
He's a good
speed guy.
But
plays hard.
You know what's sad? I was driving the other day. I'm like, is it really the worst thing in the world if one batter in this lineup isn't as strong as the rest because he's a lefty? Like, would it really be the worst thing in the world? No, but I still don't want it to happen. I'm still not at that point.
Yeah, same
you
here.
need to get me Manny Machado, and then I'll be okay, maybe with Brett Gardner being the everyday left fielder.
Dan, what's your vote on Brett Gardner?
I think I kind of agree with all you guys. I mean, it's just he's got to be the fourth outfielder if he's on the team. The salary was a little high for his caliber of player. He definitely wouldn't have got that anywhere else. But I understand, the Yankees need leadership. He's arguably, the unofficial captain, or at least one of them right now. But I do think he has, value as a bench player, like you guys said. Remember, he came up that way. I mean, he was always the fourth outfielder the first couple of years and kind of just made his way into the starting lineup. So, he puts together tough at-bats. He could be a defensive replacement, pinch runner. He has all those intangibles. He obviously plays hard. We all know the type of player Brett Gardner is. So, I think, we definitely should keep him, but it's got to be in that fourth outfield role.
Yeah, we're all in agreement here. We're keeping Gardy. We're keeping Gardy as a fourth outfielder. If this is the year they're going to win, I want to do it with Gardy on the team too.
Yeah, I definitely agree to that.
Like I said, I don't want to be in a position where he's got to play 120 or 130 games this year. It looks like that might be the route they're going though. But I can live with it for this year because I think this team's going to be strong enough in other areas where even if he hits 230 again, they'll be able to carry him for what he brings defensively. All right, let's see what the fans had to say on Brett Gardner here. Peg says, heart and soul, you need that with so many rookies on the team. He can always work his way on base. Defense is stellar, and he can run. He's a win-win. On the counter side of that, Michael Eady says, sorry, Brett's been great. Okay, pretty good. I guess he's trying to be funny there. But the fat lady is singing. No longer need a 237 hitting outfielder with limited power. The money can be spent other places. It's the end of the line for him.
Okay, let's go spend that $7.5 million somewhere else. I mean, come on. You gotta take a guy like Gardy and look at all the value he brings. It's not just what he's bringing on the field. He was there for 2009. I mean, this guy's been there just like CeCe. We talked about it last week or 2 weeks ago. I mean, this is something that Cashman thought about, had to pull the trigger fairly quickly after the season ended within a few days, and he knew what he was doing. He knew he was going to sign him, and that was it, and he wants him here. He doesn't necessarily expect much out of him or think he's going to depend on him to carry this team in any way, but in the clubhouse, Gardy's the type of guy you want right now.
I can't disagree with that. All right, Stat Guy Rye, you're up here. The next guy is Big G, Giancarlo Stanton.
85% keep.
81% was the fan vote. They're going to keep Giancarlo Stanton.
Yeah, you got to keep him. I mean, the guy hit 59 home runs for the Marlins. He's good. I thought he had a good first year with the Yankees. He started very slow, but he found it. He killed the Red Sox in the regular season, but he didn't show up in the postseason, which was kind of disappointing. But I mean, it's Giancarlo Stanton.
Think about when he got hot for a second.
I was just going to bring that up. I've had a Twitter war, not a full-blown war, but I had a disagreement with Chris Carlin a few months back about Stanton. And he said he never had a clutch hit all season long.
That's bullshit.
But you have to take a look at what he did through the beginning portion of Judge's injury. He carried this ball club offensively.
And you think of it in two ways. You think of it as he stepped up when they needed him most, and he got really hot with no one else too scary in this lineup besides Andujar being hot. Imagine if this team was full force all season and Stanton hit that stride. He might be seeing even more pitches. He might be seeing more pitches to hit out. Maybe he hits 45 home runs. He had a great year. He had 100 RBIs, 39 home runs?
38.
You can't get mad at that.
Here's my issue with clutch, because you can skew the numbers whichever way you want. A lot of times, if close and late, seventh inning on, seventh inning on, they're not great. But how about all the times he led off? It was in the first inning, grand slam, home run, RBI double, got the Yankees off and running, and they, and those were games that they won because he knocked in a few runs early in the game. That doesn't show up in quote clutch numbers, but they're just as important. Dan, what's your take on Big G?
What's crazy is I'm so torn on what they should do. Well, we know they're going to keep him, and there's virtually no chance he goes anywhere. But just for the sake of the game, I'm torn. He had a great season, all things considered. Switching from the National League to the American League, it doesn't always go as smooth. And like you said, he struggled in the beginning, but when Judge was out, there was Andujar, but he carried the offense. He was the MVP like he was a year ago. So there are no really complaints with that. My thing is, I feel like the Yankees, the money that they would spend on Machado and or Harper, they kind of decided to use last year with Stan because they figured he was the last piece. It's just that him and Judge are kind of too similar. Where Judge is more of a consistent player so far, but they're both get very streaky, and it's hard to win games when your top players are streaky like that. I think they're kind of too similar in that regard. In the end, my heart says keep them, but for somebody who's going to be a DH for the next 12 years or 9 years, whatever it is, whatever he has left, it's kind of iffy on my book. But in the end, I'll keep him.
Yeah, I'm going to keep him too. I'm a big Giancarlo Stanton fan. I love the picture that he took with The Rock when they were down in Miami. So I'm with them there. I know Dan is too.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But think about it. Guy hit 38 home runs, drove in 100 runs in a new league. Facing new pitchers, and I don't even think he knew what the hell he was doing half the time out there, and he still had that type of production. I want to see him now fully acclimated as a Yankee in the second season here. Hopefully everybody's together. We can watch him and Judge together for 160 games or whatever it is. So I'm keeping G, but here's what I want to bring up, and I want to get all you guys' takes on it, right? Everybody calls in sports talk radio and they're like, trade Stanton to the Dodgers, because for some reason the Dodgers want Stanton, right? I get it, right? He's an LA kid, whatever, and the Dodgers were on his no trade, and, losing Machado, they might want a superstar. But from the Yankees' perspective, why are they trading Giancarlo Stanton? Because the Dodgers are not going to take the contract. Right. So the Yankees are going to go and trade Stanton to the Dodgers, probably not get a lot back in return, and have to eat what? I think it was either on Kay or Francesa's show today. It said that the Yankees would have to at least eat $7 million a year of the contract.
Right.
So how does that make sense? Why would they do that?
It doesn't make sense. And I'm really sick of talking about Stanton like he wasn't good. I understand that he struck out in really big spots in the postseason and throughout the season, but Stanton's a give and take kind of guy where we know what we're getting out of him. He's going to hit you 35 to 45 home runs a year with his eyes closed, but he's going to strike out a whole bunch of times. We get that. We know that. So to just jump ship and say they should get rid of him so quickly, come on, man. It's Giancarlo Stanton again. There's fans of 29 other teams laughing at Yankee fans who are truly pushing and getting aggravated that this guy's on this team. I'm not saying you have to like him or that you trust him or anything like that, but don't get so angry that the Yankees picked up the reigning NL MVP of last year who hit 59 home runs and hit another almost 40 this year and put up 100 RBIs. I mean, it's ridiculous how angry Yankee fans get that he's on this team.
Yeah, I mean, there's no real, what would the Dodgers have to give up? You're not getting Walker Buehler for him. You're not getting anybody like that. They're not giving up the farm. And like you said, I mean, it's kind of just, it is a bit disrespectful to him that, everybody kind of wants to get rid of him after year one. I think this year could be a really good year for him, like you said, because he's acclimated and, used to New York. I feel like he handled New York really well, which, that's always a question mark with people that come in. So, yeah, definitely deserves another shot, obviously, and deserves, more respect from the fans.
Well, what's the big thing with Machado that everybody's got their panties in a bunch over? He doesn't hustle, right? He doesn't hustle. What's the one thing we always said about Stan this year?
Always hustling.
So if you don't want Machado because he doesn't hustle, why doesn't Stan get the credit for being a highly paid superstar guy that still busts his ass down the line every time? And here's the big thing that no one gives Stan any credit for. That guy was busted up when Judge was on the DL with his hamstring. He shouldn't have been in the lineup every day. He damn sure shouldn't have been in right field every day. But guess what? Where was Giancarlo Stanton?
He was in the lineup every day. Listen, this is a guy that could literally moonwalk down to first base every single time he got up and still get paid. He would still get the same paycheck no matter where he went. So let's give the guy a little credit because there's not too many superstars getting paid his money that I've seen hustle the way he does.
And he was atrocious in the playoffs, but you know what? He's got to be better in those spots, but I'm not running him out of town because of that. All right, let's see what the fans had to say about Big G.
John, you didn't get to Ryan, I don't think.
Yeah, no.
Did you?
Did I get to you, Ryan? Did you vote?
You were first. You were first.
Oh yeah, I brought it up.
Sorry.
I guessed.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm keeping him.
All right,
Big
we're all keeping Big G. All right, John Anglem has to say, he said he's not a primetime player. It's easy to hit 40 home runs a year playing in front of nobody in blowout games. And then somebody replied, this is why no one takes you seriously.
Yeah, it's real easy hitting 40 home runs. I like to see him try.
Billy Dunn says, keep him. Strong back, good attitude, struggles in his first postseason, but it isn't enough to turn me off on Giancarlo Stanton. I think we're all in agreement on that there. Here we go. The dumpster fire that is Jacoby Ellsbury. We're back to you, Dan. How did the fans vote on Jacoby Ellsbury?
I'm going to be generous and say 7% keep.
Wow.
He's almost...
Did I get it?
You're close because the vote was 94% dump, so it was 6% on the keep side.
Very good.
Yeah.
I like that.
Damn. I'm trying. Yeah, I'm not shocked. Let's put it that way.
So what's your vote on Jacoby Ellsbury? Because his agent's vote is that he's playing.
Oh, he'll be ready.
He's going to be ready.
Kidding me?
Guy's a walking operation board, but he's going to be ready to play for the Yankees this year.
All right, so the thing about Ellsbury, which, a lot of people, I tweeted this out, got a lot of hate, obviously, but let's say he's healthy, right? Would he be a better player than Brett Gardner on the field? I lean towards yes. I think he could hit for higher average. He could maybe not as much power, but overall, I think he could be, an adequate everyday player. But again, it's the salary, it's his injuries. It's something where, it's kind of hard to even justify him being on the roster in general. So, I'm dumping him regardless. But I do think that if he is on the roster come, opening day, and like we said before, the injuries happen and everything, I wouldn't be surprised if he's playing, a bunch of games in Yankee Stadium next year.
I'm voting to dump him personally. It's just one of those things where you just want to just wash your hands of the whole situation. And what happened when he showed up in Tampa Bay in the clubhouse, right?
That was the turning point of the season.
They got swept in that friggin' series.
And that was it. That was the turning point of the season.
That's his scarlet letter.
They never had a huge hot run after that.
That's a scarlet letter to me. You don't show up all year. This team's playing well. You show up for 3 days. Now we want to kill Gary Sanchez.
You stank on them.
Yeah, he left your stank on him.
Yeah, Jacoby stank.
But I agree with Dan, and I've said this before, and I've gotten hate for it too, is that if he's healthy and on this club, he can be a useful player for them. You can't tell me that he wouldn't be useful to the Yankees if he's healthy. If. A big, huge asterisk, I understand that, but...
See, I'm dumping, obviously, But here's my thing. I agree with you, Dan, that I think he could be a better everyday player than Gardner right now. But you have to take it to this point and ask yourself this question. He wouldn't be that much better than Gardner, right? Who deserves it more at this point? You're gonna tell me the way this team stands right now, you re-sign Gardner, but then you're gonna tell him he's benched for Jacoby Ellsbury? You might as well just not sign Gardner at that point.
The only way I would consider even bringing Jacoby Ellsbury back would have been if they didn't re-sign Gardner and maybe have him as a fourth outfielder bench guy. But the fact that they brought Gardner back, Ellsbury's role is just, there's nothing there. It's a hard dump.
My whole issue with him in realistic terms is that I just don't see the Yankees giving him $44 million to go do something else with his life. If like last year it was on the DL, they recouped all that money through insurance. So if he's healthy and they're just like, get the hell out of here, I can't see that. I can't see them giving him $44 million or whatever it is just to go somewhere else.
If you're a serious World Series contender right now, you're not keeping Jacoby Ellsbury around for the simple fact of you owing him that much money. You have to be very confident that he's going to be an impact to this team in 2019.
But you can also find your way through another 6 months of injuries too.
Sure.
I'm sure his foot's bothering him again.
Sure.
I heard he was power walking through the mall yesterday.
He'll still get a ring, right?
Yeah, no, he would get one.
It's worth it.
So we're all in agreement here. Jacoby's got to go.
Gotta go. Jacoby.
Jacoby. There we go.
Jacoby.
All right. Eric Moses says that Jacoby Ellsbury shouldn't be allowed anywhere near the team.
We just said it.
There should be something
Keep
put in
that
place
stank
for that.
at home.
I'm trying to find a positive comment here. I want somebody to say something nice about Jacoby Ellsbury.
Need a restraining order on him.
You're the only person in a 300-mile radius who has thought of this in a sense of because of the money and you think he could possibly be good for this team. You're the only person. I don't think you're going to find any good comment.
All right, we'll go with Bob's comment. Are we really still talking about this guy? I think that was the nicest one that I could find. All right, here we go. Who are we on, Chris or Stat Guy Rye?
I think me.
All right, Chris, what do the fans have to say about Hicksy, Aaron Hicks?
I'm going to say 96% keep.
Not so high. 91% keep for Hicks.
But, like, who's voting to dump him right now?
I don't know. I'll go through the comments. We'll see what anybody had to say. But
I'm keeping. I think he had the best offensive season all around for the New York Yankees in 2018 when it comes to, runners in scoring position, power, all around average. What he bat? Like 280 last year?
it's like 250.
Was he that low?
Right, look it up, please.
Yeah, I'll look it up.
248, yeah.
You predicted, didn't you have a good prediction on his final stat line?
I did, because he was very good, whether it was just getting on base, producing runs with runners in scoring position, and his defense really took it to the next level last year. Christian's biggest concern with Hicks going into 2018 was that he was still a little iffy on if he trusted him in center field. He does take some weird routes to some balls, but man, he got to almost everything this year. I thought Hicks had a phenomenal year. He broke out power-wise, and we needed that from the left side this year. I'm keeping Hicks all around all day.
Yeah, Hicks is one of the most important pieces to this offense. He's a switch hitter. You need that left-handed pop. Decent outfielder with a great arm. Solid keep.
I mean, he's a Brian Cashman guy, so where the hell's he really going to go?
Right.
No, I'm keeping Aaron Hicks. We've had this debate on this show. I'll get Dan's take on it too now. I mean, obviously, Mike Trout is on another level, but is it fair to say that Aaron Hicks is the second best center fielder in the American League right now?
No, I tweeted that out probably in July or August. Same thing. I went through his stats. He was top three besides average and, on base percentage, slugging percentage, OPS, home runs. Like you guys were saying, I mean, he was phenomenal last year. One of Cashman's pet projects that worked out, which, that bodes for him even more well because, they're not going to get rid of him now because that reason alone, because, that was Cashman's boy. He worked out the way he did. I was surprised, too, when I looked at the stats, 248. I mean, he definitely didn't play like that kind of hitter. But he did everything. Defense, great arm, gets on base, hits for power. You can't ask for more out of your center fielder.
I mean, I'm sure that people have like hard hit percentage and all these fancy stats, but with my eyes, didn't it seem like Hicks hit into a lot of bad luck last year where he ripped a lot of balls that were caught?
Yeah. He also has speed too. He didn't. I think he only had like one or two double plays, ground into double plays. Plus, he had 90 walks last year. That was 40 more than any other season.
That
in
was
his
the big
career.
thing that came along with him last year. Is he had a lot more patience at the plate last year?
Yeah, and you really saw it too. He worked a good count.
Real quick, just with his runners in scoring position, he had a batting average of 267, which doesn't sound good until you compare it to most of the other Yankees outside of Torres and Andujar. My biggest thing was he had 137 plate appearances with runners in scoring position. How many times do you think he struck out?
I don't know. 12.
18 times.
Wow. Holy hell.
He had a high slugging percentage and he got on base. He was actually one of their better performers in 2018. I'm keeping him.
For the all-around package that he brings, you hope that maybe he hits into a little bit better luck this year and he brings himself to be like a 265 or 270 hitter. Where are you going to go? Who's going to be better than that?
No one.
You're not getting Mike Trout, so why are you getting rid of Aaron Hicks?
Right.
I'm keeping him. Ryan?
Keeping him.
Chris?
Keep.
Dan?
Keep.
All right, we're all in agreement to keep Hicksy. Let's see what the fans had to say. Our boy Vinny, Mr. Staten Island's back. He says he's always hurt. Get rid of him.
Wasn't last year. I mean, he was hurt a little bit, but he was. How many games did he play?
Didn't he just miss
137 games?
Yeah,
That's
really.
fine with me.
He had an early DL stint, and then when Billy McKinney killed himself in Toronto, but then that was pretty much it, right? Hicks was pretty.
Yeah.
And then towards the end of the year, right, the hamstring again or whatever acted up.
Yeah, I
on
think
him.
they were just being cautious.
But
with
yeah,
him
I
at that
mean,
point
he had a
even.
really healthy year last year too, which I think.
Healthy.
LD. Well, he got banged up in the postseason. He missed
Oh yeah, that's right. Didn't he miss the postseason?
hamstring.
Yeah, 2, I think.
Yeah, I can't remember everything. But for the most part, he was healthy last year, and that was a big bugaboo on him. Is that he was hurt? No oblique strains for Hicks in 2018. Which
That was big.
Let's see what else we got. Anything? Bob who was never sold on him, but they love him, so he's not going anywhere. Okay, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
All right, we're down to the final two here. Let's go with the big guy here. I think it's pretty obvious what everybody's going to vote, but, we had some jackasses get their hands on the poll here. Stat guy, right? Aaron Judge?
96.
Yeah, 96%.
Wow.
That's not a true number because I've had people admit to me that they trolled the poll and voted dump.
Poll troll.
Poll troll, and I dumped them from following us because I blocked them.
That 4% equals 81 people. So 81 people got on this poll and voted dump.
Not all 81 of them admitted that they trolled the poll.
Right. So
We have all of their addresses, right?
We do.
We should
We
post
actually-
them.
I'm gonna clown shoes them
Yeah.
like Jay and Silent Bob. Honestly, if you are not being a jackass and trying to troll the poll, why are you voting to dump Aaron Judge?
you're not.
It doesn't make any sense. I mean, come on. He's the ideal Yankee.
I mean, I don't know. And to be honest with you, how many people thought the poll was stupid or whatever? This got the most votes for any poll that we ran in this series by over 1,000.
Wow.
Wow.
So people
Damn.
felt like they needed to have their voices heard in this.
Apparently.
Yeah. So I think we're all in agreement here. We're keeping Aaron Judge.
I want to ask Dan this just to have a little bit of talk on Aaron Judge, keep or dump him. Dan, could you give me any logical reason that the Yankees would ever dump Aaron Judge right now?
I'm not even kidding. What could you say that's negative? I mean, he's on the field wise, he's light years better than people thought he was going to be. I mean, I remember when I first started getting into the writing game, and I met a few people that were scouts. They were saying he could be, Adam Dunn levels of a player where great power hitter, but just can't hit for average at all. And, his first 2 years, I mean, you can't ask for anything more of this guy. And that's not even counting off the field. I mean, he handles the media perfectly. He just has that Derek Jeter feel to him where it's like, it's his team. He does everything right. He says all the right things. In his career so far, the worst thing he's done is played New York after beating the Red Sox. That's literally the worst thing he's done. So, I mean, there's nothing that could say to get rid of him.
And out of those 81 people, I bet you a lot of that was because people were the Yankee fans were legitimately pissed off that he did that.
Well, if you voted dump because you were mad that he trolled the Red Sox after Game 2, we're not allowed to tell people to jump in rivers anymore, right?
We're not.
Okay,
No.
so don't jump in the river, but
But do something kind of like it.
maybe drink some dirty bath water.
But
or
maybe go
something.
down to the river
And think
and
about
see
it.
what happens.
I don't know.
Come on.
Honestly, like if you are not like if you're listening to this podcast right now, right, and you voted dump for a legitimate reason, not because you were being a jag
I don't like
off,
the Judge Chambers. They got to get rid of it.
They should just get rid of Judge.
not because you're being some jag off and wanted to troll the poll. I want you to tweet
Yeah,
us at
seriously.
NYY Sports Talk. Tweet us, tell us, because nobody had the balls to give us a legit reason in the comments.
Right.
So come, tell us why you want to get rid of Aaron Judge. Because here's the thing with Aaron Judge, right? This is the end all be all right now. When he came off the DL this year and he just jogged out to right field, you would have thought a guy was returning from war. That's the ovation that this guy got just to go stand in right field.
Right.
This guy he is the Yankees right now.
Plus, he had a really, really good postseason. I mean, that was one of the few, if not the only bright spot of the postseason.
Not just
was
this
his
year
performance.
either. I mean, last year too.
And I have the utmost respect for veterans. I don't want to compare a baseball player to a guy that actually fights in war, but you understand
We get it.
the idea
Just a
behind
comparison. It's okay.
No, I get it. No, because somebody's
know,
going to
I
hear
know,
it.
it's
They're going to
okay.
get upset.
Right. You don't care about the river stuff.
Somebody's gonna get offended by that. Somebody out there.
I was in war.
So we're all in agreement
Yes.
with you. I mean, there's no logical reason why you
No.
dump Aaron Judge.
No, no.
I mean, most of the comments on the Judge thread are bashing the people that
Right.
voted to dump him. Nikki B says that 4% are Red Sox fans and they can kiss my ass. Pickle Rick, I'm guessing this is sarcasm, but you just never know. I wish they would trade him and get Chase Headley back. So I think we can leave it at that.
Actually, not a bad idea.
Last guy here, and this is a name you don't even hear right now, is Andrew McCutchen. We'll finish it off with Dan. Dan, what do you think the fans voted on Kutch?
Let's see. 54% keep.
A little bit higher, 65% keep for Andrew McCutchen. What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, listen, if he's probably going to get a 3-year deal, I'd say something along those lines. But if he was, in the running for a 1-year deal, maybe even a 2-year deal, I'd be, more than willing to get him back in pinstripes. I mean, getting him, like we mentioned before, Shane Robinson, there's no way they could keep going with him like that. So, they turned to McCutchen, professional baseball player, only a couple years removed from being one of the more elite players in the game.
MVP, right?
Yeah. And it was
2013.
just, and it was kind of like Hicks, where, his average wasn't that high, but I mean, as a leadoff hitter, he was getting walks, he was getting on base, driving in runs. He's good on defense still, even though he's getting up there in age. I mean, I understand where they're at right now, and we spoke about Clint Frazier possibly getting the chance, and bringing back McCutchen would eliminate that process. But for the sake of the argument, let's say they trade Frazier for James Paxton or whatever pitcher you want to name. I wouldn't see a problem with bringing back McCutchen and kind of doing the same thing he did last year.
Here's where I have an issue. I have an issue because it's just another righty bat. And at that point, I feel like if Frazier's going to come back, I'd rather that. And if not, then I'm slotting Gardy in there again over bringing McCutchen back because I need a lefty at that point. And if you asked me before the postseason started, if the Yankees were going to bring McCutchen back, I was so confident that they fell in love with this guy quick. He gets on base, and I thought he was a great fit, and I thought he'd definitely be back. The only way I see the Yankees getting him back is if they go through this offseason, they truly don't sign Bryce Harper. There's no better option out there. Maybe then they take a look at Andrew McCutchen. But again, you're going out and spending money on another right-handed bat who, yeah, he gets on base a lot, but he's gotten a year older now, and I just don't see where it makes sense at that point.
It doesn't.
He'd have to
go
be,
ahead, Ryan.
Thanks, Christian. He'd have to be a serious backup plan if they want to really consider him. There's just he's right-handed, and there's other options out there that could maybe fit this lineup just as good, if not a little bit better and more affordable.
He's not even in my thought process. If 2019 breaks out like 2018 does, where there's still an all-star team that could be fielded in that's been unsigned in the middle of spring training, and Andrew McCutchen's still out there, I'll call him up and be like, yo, you want to come play for 1 year at $7 million or whatever? But I'm not even thinking about him. And it's no disrespect to him. He was good when he was here. He was what they needed at the time. But like you keep saying, it's just another right-handed bat. What does it really do for this team?
And let's also think realistically for a second. If they signed him right now and that was going to be their option, how much are they paying him for 1 year?
I would think
10 and up,
10
right? You're not going to spend $10 million to slot another righty in who, again, is on the decline. I just don't see it making sense in any way. The only way I see it makes sense is Christian's way, where if he's still out there, you might need a little more depth. You go out and get him. But guess what? We got some kind of bad depth right now in the outfield in Jacoby Ellsbury and Frazier, being that we don't know if he's going to stay healthy. So I don't know. Adding that type of depth again, where you don't know what you're going to get out of McCutchen, I wouldn't even look his way in 2019.
We're all in agreement. We're all getting rid of.
I'm dumping.
Dump.
Dan.
Well, see, I said keep, but you know what? I hate to backtrack, but.
We don't allow flip-flopping on the show, Dan. I don't let
Christian usually flips, but maybe as a guest he'll let you.
You know what, Dan?
I'll make one very small point. So, like you said, we spoke about the righties. I think you're right about that, and I think if, let's say, they were going to go outside, someone who they could bring in would be like a Michael Brantley, who's a lefty, can kind of break things up, and is at that same position where they're older. They're starting to they're past their prime years, so. You're right. I'm going to flip-flop. Sorry to flip-flop, but I will say dump. You made great points. You convinced me. Dump.
All right. All around dump, even though the fans voted to keep. I'll let Dan flip-flop, but you're not allowed to.
I'm dumping.
That was your original vote, though.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. So the fans, Frank Vignulli had to say that he would only dump him for Harper. I'm dumping him for friggin' Jacoby Ellsbury, to be honest with you. I'd rather have, if it came down, all things being equal, both guys healthy, I'd rather have Jacoby's lefty bat. I mean, I'm just so starved for left-handers now in this lineup. Elaine says, Gardner is a better outfielder. Kutch gets on base with walks, but we really need a true hitter. I'm tired of bases loaded and then no hits. I think we all are. I don't know why I read that. There really wasn't much to that. Dan, that's going to wrap up the Keep 'em Dump 'ems for the Outfielders. But before I let you go, I'm going to do this to piss Chris off.
Oh, here we go.
Last night, bro, Daniel Bryan won the WWE Championship, defeated AJ Styles in pretty surprising fashion.
Yes. Did they all do that?
No, because I'm going to get to that. He turned heel last night. He kicked AJ Styles in the groin, led to the finish of the match. I just want to pick your brain on it. I'm not against turning him heel. I actually like it, but I thought the timing of it was so bad. Like, you're doing this 5 days before Survivor Series, where we all know he's not going to barely get any offense in on Brock Lesnar. So you're doing this whole big turn before this other match. Like, I just thought personally, like, this would have been better suited to build towards a bigger event like the Royal Rumble. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, I picked my jaw up off the floor about 2 hours ago from last night because I was shocked. I mean, I saw on Twitter some people were saying that, big things were going to happen on SmackDown, so I was kind of curious. I had no idea that was going to happen, but I agree with you. I mean, it's just, why now? Because now he's just going to go against Lesnar, who they position as the biggest heel in the company, and you're trying to build up Daniel Bryan as, they want to make him obviously the biggest heel in the company, or else they wouldn't turn him heel. So, I mean, it's odd. I'm guessing AJ's going to come out and mess something up, so Daniel Bryan doesn't look that bad in defeat. I'm curious to see how it plays out, but the whole heel thing, I mean, he came back, and, he just didn't have that spark that he had, when he left, that he was just as over as anybody. So I think it was needed. I think it's going to work. Daniel Bryan, he could play any role. He's great at what he does. So I'm really curious to see how it goes, but I do think it was the odd timing.
No, I definitely agree with that. Like I like the idea of him being so frustrated that he couldn't win the title back when he came back, and that he did whatever it took. But I mean, really, like the timing of it, just right before Survivor Series, and then to do it on SmackDown, to not build it towards a big event, that's what I didn't like about it.
Yeah, I agree. It was definitely it was weird timing. I'm not sure. I listened to Dave Meltzer. I know he said that they had Daniel Bryan's plan. He wanted to turn heel for the last month or so, and Vince kind of wanted to just do it all in one shot instead of him winning the championship as a face and then down the line turn as a heel. But I think it would have made sense if they played it off as like a respect thing. Daniel Bryan won, and then they had a rematch at TLC or another pay-per-view where, he does what he did last night and kind of goes to cheap way and takes him out. So I think they could have done it better, but you know what? I'm not going to complain. I really enjoyed it last night. It was a great episode overall. So there's not really many complaints from me, just kind of nitpicking about, the timing and everything like that.
I'm just hoping that, the last time a guy turned heel on AJ Styles in a championship match, we had a whole feud based on kicks to the balls. I just hope that this is not the same scenario going forward here.
Yeah, I agree. It was that was another thing. It's like we just went through the same type of false finish, so why do we got to go back to it? But hey, I guess that's the way to go these days.
Yeah, I guess people like kicks to the balls, right? You ever watch The Simpsons? Man hitting the balls won the Burns Oscar Awards or whatever that episode was. So Ryan doesn't watch The Simpsons.
I don't really like The Simpsons.
Oh, sorry.
Never watch it.
Well, Chris hates everything, so. All right, Dan, thank you very much for spending some time with us here today. Do or keep 'em, dump 'ems. Give us a little perspective on the WWE Championship situation also, although, Chris is just going to edit this out anyway.
Yes.
You can follow Dan on Twitter at Dan J. Federico. Dan, thanks a lot, buddy, and we'll touch base
Thanks,
as
Dan.
the off-season moves along.
Yes, thank you guys for having me. It was fun as always.
All right, so now we got the outfielders out of the way. That just leaves the coaching staff, which is just 4 people. It's going to be Cash, Booney, Larry, and Marcus Timms. We can do that real quick in another episode, down the line here. We're coming up on Thanksgiving, so we may be back on Monday before Thanksgiving. We may take a little holiday break. We're not sure yet. We'll be sure to keep you updated on Twitter, though. If big news breaks before the holiday, we'll definitely be back. We'll definitely come together, put out a big pod. If not, we might just take a little holiday break here, stuff our faces with some turkey and stuffing and
fall asleep for 5 days.
Yeah, well, you fall asleep for 5 days if you don't eat turkey and stuffing.
That's true.
All right, so again, thanks to Dan for joining us. You can follow Dan on Twitter at Dan J. Federico. Follow us on Twitter. Make sure you follow the main account if you want to stay up to date on all the breaking news with the Yankees at NYY Sports Talk. Stat Guy Rye.
Go Yanks.
Chris.
I kinda like you.
Say goodbye.